Welcome to the Tepper School of Business Multimedia Series. For more information on the Tepper School at Carnegie Mellon, please visit us at www.tepper.cmu.edu/multimedia. And now, here's your selected video.
Please join me in welcoming Paula Wagner.
Thank you, Ken, for leading and guiding the revered, and it is a revered school, Tepper School of Business, into the future. Thank you. And I also want to thank your equally revered faculty. And I was in awe to learn something that I didn't know. This school has produced more Nobel laureates than any other business school in the world. Bravo. I'm so proud of you. And everybody, let's turn and thank the friends, parents, and spouses that are here today, because as you know, as we all know, it takes not a village to educate, it takes a planet. The first thing you have to figure out is how to get out of debt from paying all your education. But you can. To the graduates, MBA, MSCF, and PhD, I'm so honored to have been asked, I truly am, to speak to you and really celebrate all of you. I'm an alumna of this university, and you and I are now members of the same club. You are joining an elite group of people, and be very proud of this club and the distinction that goes with it. You are joining great entertainers, brilliant scientists, and researchers that have worked here. Did you know that this school is where one of the first 4 internet sites was developed, and something I learned this afternoon? Email was being exchanged in the mid-70s. All the technology you use or see has had some association with Carnegie Mellon University. And I'm not only an alum, but I'm a trustee. And I can tell you all that the education here, it's not just a quick fix. It's a way of life, and it's a way of viewing the world. A quote, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." Ralph Waldo Emerson. Now, for those of you who have jobs and are going out into the world, and for those of you who are looking for jobs, I have one piece of advice for you. Distinguish yourself. What makes you different from everybody else? What is your very distinctive and unique career path? You might have 5 different careers in your lifetime. I did. I came from the I had a dream generation. We had dreams and hopes and promises. We came from a time of cultural upheaval, of economic uncertainty, and an era in which wars were waged, social unrest divided our country over what was right. We were polarized, we were politicized, and one of the underlying transformative elements was culture. Music was changing, art was changing, and people were expressing themselves through these channels. We were merely on the threshold of the future. You are the future. And guess what? Not many jobs available. Sound familiar? When I went out into the world, I was so excited about the potential, the prospects, the possibilities. When I got my BFA from Carnegie Mellon, I didn't even wait to don my cap and gown. This is the first time I've ever worn one. I'm so proud to be wearing one at your ceremony. And now I'm a film producer, and I've been in the business for 30 years, and guess what? I have my PhD in the School of Hollywood Hijinks. Believe me, I went from being an unknown actress to running a studio, and while my path was circuitous, I always sought to distinguish myself, and in so doing was generously rewarded. Now, you are all asking yourselves, I know you're sitting out there asking yourselves, what's next and why and how? Well, in thinking about these questions, I look back to when I was here and to what I've been doing since then. And perhaps my journey through the movie business can help illuminate yours. Let me tell you about it. I was given a lot of advice. Do this and don't do this, and business advice. And for some reason, it may have been the time and the era, for some reason people telling me not to do something kind of made me want to do it. I'm not talking about breaking rules so much as making new rules. People will tell you not to do a lot of things or not to try a lot of things. Along my way, there were a lot of don'ts, no's, you can't do that, that hasn't been tried. And somehow when I heard the word don't, I did. First, I was told, don't become an actress. Well, to be or not to be, that was my question. And when I was 16 years old, I got on a bus and I went to get a summer stock job in someplace exotic like New York or Pennsylvania, because I was from Ohio. And Pennsylvania was very exotic. Pittsburgh was the biggest city I had ever seen. Well, I got my summer stock job 40 miles from Youngstown in Canton, Ohio. Well, then I decided I am going to train at the best place in the world, Carnegie Mellon University. And when I set my sights on that goal, there was nothing more important in the world to me. My heart was in my work. I'm sure you've heard that one a lot. The glamorous work of a fine arts actress, painting scenery, sewing costumes, building sets. I even managed to do a little acting as well. My final end-of-the-year program, I tap danced to a poem by T.S. Eliot, scored by the Doors. Let me tell you, that was cutting edge. And when I think about how comprehensive my education was here, I realized how prepared it made me to be in front of the camera as well as behind the camera. And when I became a producer, I knew the importance of every other aspect of the process and was able to clearly integrate it. And when I ran a studio, I realized the critical nature of putting an infrastructure together, of getting everyone to work towards a common goal harmoniously and to quickly put forth product. And by the way, I'm still an actress. I just haven't worked in 30 years. That experience at CMU shaped my entire career. So I say to all of you, follow your passion and follow your dream. You will collect pieces along the way that you'll have no idea how they fit until the bigger picture of your career comes into focus. So then I was told, don't go to Hollywood. Another quote. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot. So I went as far as I could go. I moved to Hollywood. Like every other young actress with $500 in my pocket, a dream of stardom, and guess what? There were no jobs. So instead of acting, my first job was teaching a class on modeling bras and girdles for the John Robert Powers Modeling School. And after a few years and a few acting jobs, I went from being a Shakespearean actress at the Yale Repertory Theater to being an agent in Hollywood. And then somebody said, whatever you do, don't become an agent. Well, in between my acting work, I was preparing for this next role. I wrote, produced, and acted in my own play called Out of Our Father's House, a feminist play. I trained a corporate sales force with a course called Method Selling, teaching them how to sell their products. I worked with a group called Imagination Workshop, bringing theater to disabled patients. And of course, that greatest job I had, I waited tables like every other actress in Hollywood. And one day I asked my agent if I would ever work as an actress in this town again, and she said, no, but you'd be a brilliant agent. And that was the turning point in my career in which I embraced the business of movies. The key point here, life will tell you what doesn't work and what works. Be determined, but self-aware. And sometimes you'll be offered another path. Know when to take it. And as an agent, I was told, don't go to an unknown company that has yet to establish itself. So I did. Creative Artists Agency is now one of the leading entertainment companies in the world, and I was the first outside female agent they hired into the company. And that company grew from half a floor to an entire building to an international industry leader. And as an agent in the 80s, my job was twofold: represent clients and represent the philosophy of the company, which was very much a Musketeers-like all for one and one for all mentality. This gave me my corporate philosophy and vision that I have carried into the future. This was a culture that supported a group pulling together, a basic sense of trust in the organization, respect for the business that supports the company, and most importantly, respect for the art that comprised the company's principal business. Films like Rain Man never would have been made without the entire agency's support through this film's tumultuous journey to the big screen. And believe me, every film has a tumultuous journey to get to the big screen. This was an era in the 80s in which, as agents, we packaged and controlled the talent that made the films for Hollywood, and we, as agents, prevailed. Of course, it should be said that the film business, like so many businesses today, was vastly different 20 years ago. Film budgets were a non-issue. The prints to be delivered to every theater and the advertising costs hadn't yet been let out of Pandora's box. International revenues were minuscule, and the competition was less fierce as there were simply fewer films being made. How's that changed? Well, now budgets are rigid, with green light analysis being performed when a film is still in development. More importantly, however, as agents, producers, and filmmakers, we are now dealing with publicly traded companies. 20 years ago, you would never have seen mention of stock prices in the trades. And today, snapshots of various media-related stocks are commonplace on the pages of Variety and Reporter. I guess now it's no longer the pages, it's on your computer, on the internet. So if I can inspire you, I say to you, go and make some changes. Be a little daring. Now, that's not to say that you should be a rabble-rousing rebel radical in your respective fields. It's to say, find your way into the system and through the system. Make some changes and help create the innovation and change that is inevitable in all business. Progress often depends on the new and not only the establishment. And another agent thing that was said to me, another don't. Okay, don't sign unproven actors and actresses. It's too risky. So I signed a young actor named Tom Cruise, and the first film he got under my guidance was Risky Business. Similarly, I managed to put another young actor named Matthew Broderick in a little film called Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Demi Moore in Ghost, Sean Penn in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And the results of these films show it pays to be innovative. I was also advised, don't switch careers midstream and leave the agency at the top of your game to start a production company with one of your clients. Well, life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep your balance, you have to keep moving. Albert Einstein said that. So I kept moving, and along with my friend and client, Tom, started a production company called Cruise Wagner Productions, and we created the Mission Impossible franchise. From the films themselves, to the video games, to the merchandise, to the publishing rights, all the way to the Broadway musical idea, the concept here was to find an asset. In this case, it was a piece of intellectual property, and create a brand, that could be leveraged across a multitude of different revenue streams. And that's what we did. So don't get complacent in what you're doing. Continue to look for the next step. It stimulates creativity in business. You know there's no such thing as stasis. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. Being a producer is like being the CEO of a corporation. Only it's coming up with a product or an idea, plus putting your team together, building your infrastructure, raising the financing, creating budgets, constantly looking at profit and loss statements, being an intermediary between business and talent, and overseeing productions all over the world. I've had a single film shoot in as many as 5 different countries. I've negotiated with heads of states and had international multilingual crews comprised of every country in the world. You're a problem solver who deals with everything from private piracy to visual effects to 3D, all the while making sure that not only is there a very sound business plan underlying it, but that you're sticking to your business plan. The preparation for business of this scope should take years, but it doesn't. You could put all of this together in 1 year and then disassemble it, and a movie lives or dies in just 1 weekend at the box office. Whereas there are some similarities to being a CEO, there are some differences. Believe me, it might sound glamorous. Trust me, it's not. There is no job too big or too small, and the same will be for you. I've shot a deserted Times Square that my crew and I emptied with military precision, having negotiated with politicians, fire and police departments, so we could film a scene from Vanilla Sky, looking at the barren wasteland of a futuristic Times Square. I've been in Eugene, Oregon on a racetrack in 105-degree weather that was recreated to mirror the 1976 Olympics in Munich, down to the shoelaces, with thousands of extras in the stands, some fainting, while I chased down an actor on the racetrack to fix his hair because his wig was falling off and the hairdresser was nowhere to be found. I found myself a woman in khakis, standing in the middle of a battlefield in New Zealand with thousands of extras from Japan, actors from the UK, US, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, equestrian stunt people from Spain, and voices in 4 different languages yelling action and cut, with my phone ringing on 3 different lines. And while a war is being staged in front of me, on line 1 is my son from Los Angeles saying, "Mom, I need help with my homework." And the second line is the studio saying, "Why are you shooting beyond the appropriate hours, and what was the addition in the budget that changes the daily cost report, and how are we going to finish shooting on time to honor one of the actors' contracts?" And then on the third line, it's another studio executive saying, "This script your writer just turned in. Guess what? We hate it. What are you going to do about it?" So in the midst of horses and samurai charging the soldiers, guess what call I took? Family comes first. Even when you're standing on a slushy battlefield. The point is this: be nimble, be adaptable, and be prepared for any curveball that could be thrown your way. The kind of uncertain, volatile, and maybe scary environment we find ourselves in today also presents a great opportunity. This is a time for entrepreneurship. To be an entrepreneur and to do it well is to be, I call it, a Renaissance explorer. Someone who's prepared and unafraid to explore a wide variety of disciplines, situations, and opportunities. To be this sort of person, I think, is to recognize how to take business, technology, and most importantly, creativity together to move into the future. The movie business is a great illustration. For those of you with doctorates and masters, please note it's the movie business, and also it's a business of art. But we in the movie business have finally awakened to the exigencies of practical reality. We must have a firm business plan and a firm base from which the art can grow. We need more than ever great business minds to lead and guide us. Our product is ego, emotion, talent, creativity. And if you have a sound business plan, a forward-thinking, forward-reaching grasp on technology, a story, content comprised of great actors, a great director, a great crew, you might just get a movie like Avatar that grossed nearly $3 billion and moved the needle of movies with the convergence of art, business, and technology. But it's also films like Paranormal Activity where you can make a Hollywood blockbuster for $15,000. The bottom line is all bets are off in the media world. And it's very important in every business that we understand the values of the financial underpinnings of what goes to support the product, whatever it may be. It's an incredible time to be entering the business world. Creating new business plans, reinventing old platforms, innovating old technological systems, and replacing digital systems that just aren't working anymore. It's a time for tremendous creativity. It's a time to create your rules, be an entrepreneur, an innovator, and charge your own pathway through the ever-changing landscape out there. And in case you're wondering what is the next frontier, I have a suggestion for you. Besides solving the world's economic situation, I'm counting on you to do that. Help us solve the problem of piracy. Find a way to monetize the internet, and you'll be doing a great thing for our industry. It will always be tough to tell you when people tell you, don't, no, never, you can't. Well, I say let the word don't make you want to do. I encourage you to learn from your predecessors. It's from the advice, experiences, and caveats of the past that we are given the lessons to make a new future. We exist in a brave new world. This very brave new world is not around the curve or past the breaking wave. The brave new world is now. And while others may view the business in numbers, formulas, dollars, and cents, there's an essence that can't be measured. You can't quantify the magic of storytelling or make tangible a dream that still causes 16-year-old kids to hop on a bus to Hollywood. And as Shakespeare said, the play's the thing. What matters is the quality of your business. A piece of material in my business that can entertain, enlighten, and inspire. In closing, I encourage you, follow your dream. Stay true to yourself. Remember, nothing is a sure thing. Make some luck for yourself. And if you go off course, recalibrate. Go with your passion, not necessarily where people say you should go. Always stay a student. And remember, keep your heart in your work. I know you've heard a lot of don'ts. Now, I invite you, I ask you, and I implore you, dare to do. Congratulations, graduates.